Welcome to E-Pathshala. This is S G Kumar, former librarian and head of the Department of Library and Information Science, RTM Nagpur University, Nagpur. The subject of this study is public libraries, and this module discusses library acts that have been enacted between 1990s and 2000s. The first state to enact library legislation during this particular period is the Mizoram. The Mizoram Public Libraries Act came into existence in 1993. However, the act has not been implemented so far. It is only on paper that it is existing. Salient features of this act are: entire funding of public library system has to be met from the state budget. State Library Council is endowed with the task of establishing and promoting public library system. Council is chaired by Minister for Education and Human Resources. One library association recognized by the council shall represent the profession on the council. Grants are given on recognized public libraries. Village libraries are managed by Young Mizoram Association. The organizational structure of the Library Act is: the government of Mizoram is at its apex, and State Library Council is endowed with the responsibility of maintaining public library services within the state. There is a Department of Public Libraries which looks after the library services. It is expected to have a state central library, district libraries in each district, and subdivisional libraries at the taluk level and village libraries. The state central library is expected to have a bureau of copyright, wherein all the books that were published within the state can be received under the Copyright Act. State library should be established for the blind. Interlibrary loan services should be encouraged by the State Central Library, and State Bibliographical Bureau is expected to provide technical services to all the public libraries within the state, and there should be mobile libraries to cater to the people who didn't have access to public libraries. The next state is Goa. The government of Goa, Daman and Diu, has appointed an expert committee on the problems and prospects of Central Library, and also to suggest means of extending public library service within the state. The chairman of this committee was Professor K.S. Deshpande, former librarian and head of the Department of Library Science, Karnataka University, Dharwad. He has submitted his report in 1980. The salient features of the act that has been formulated basing on the recommendation of Professor Deshpande consists of: Goa Public Library Act, passed in 1993, got the assent of the Governor on 29 June 1995. Under the Act, there shall be the State Library Council, which is of advisory in nature, the State Library Development Cell, which organizes the library services and monitors the development of public libraries within the state, the State Public Library, and cooperating institutions with the public libraries. State library shall have books acquired by copyright as well as those acquired otherwise. It should have audio-visual as well as AV material in various forms. A state library shall have at least two sections: State Reference Library and State Lending Library. State Reference Library contains collections which are not meant for circulation, whereas the State Lending Library lends the books to outside users of the library. State librarian shall be officer in charge of the state library system. There shall be district libraries, municipal libraries, taluk libraries and panchayat libraries in addition to the state library. There should be a local library committee at all these levels which are of advisory in nature, which monitors the progress of library services at their respective area. A library cess shall be levied in the form of a surcharge on the excise duty on Indian-made foreign liquor as well as bulk liter of beer at the rate of 50 paise per whole rupee. This is a very interesting and another important feature of Goa Public Libraries Act. A cess is to be levied on Indian-made foreign liquor as well as beer that is manufactured in Goa, as a result of which crores of rupees are being collected as a cess, and public libraries have an abundant financial resources for managing the libraries. The government shall create a library fund to support the library services. The organizational structure of the Goa Public Library System: Government of Goa at the apex body, the State Library Council, which consists of the Minister for Education as well as a number of nominated persons who looks after and advises the Directorate of Public Libraries. The State Library Development Cell is the regular monitoring body of the public library services within the state. The state library consists of State Reference Library and State Lending Library. Reference Library contains collections which are not meant for lending, and Lending Library is the only department which lends books to the users of the library outside the library premises. There are district libraries, taluk libraries and panchayat libraries which are supported and monitored by the State Library Development Cell. The next state to appoint library legislation is the Gujarat state. Gujarat Model Public Library Bill was prepared by a committee appointed by the government in 1964. However, no action has been taken on this at that particular period of time. In 1969, a non-official public library bill was introduced in Goa Legislative Assembly by Manohar Singh Jadeja and Sri Santosh Bhai Mehta. These also could not take the notice of the Legislative Assembly. On 27 February 1973, another non-official bill was introduced by MANEKLAL Gandhi, the then leader of the opposition, who was also chairman of the Library Services Committee. This bill was also rejected by the Assembly. Finally, the Manohar Bhai Jadeja, the then chairman of the State Library Advisory Committee, submitted to the government a comprehensive library bill providing for the establishment, maintenance and development of public libraries and organization of comprehensive rural library services in Gujarat. Finally, Gujarat state passed the Public Library Bill in 2001, which was published as Gujarat Public Library Act No. 25 of 2001 on 1st September 2001. After receiving the assent of the governor, the Gujarat government gazette notified and it has come into existence. Salient features of the Act are: Gujarat State Development Council is the apex body of the library system. The Director of Public Library shall be responsible for the administration of the Act. One or more state central libraries, district libraries and taluk libraries constitute the public library system of the state. There shall be district and taluk advisory committees which are advisory in nature, and these will monitor the functioning of the libraries at the respective level. There shall be a fund called State Library Development Fund, mainly from the grants received from the government, Gujarat. Donations by philanthropists and public can also be received and added to the fund. Recognizes public libraries and public library association for the purpose of assistance. The director or an official authorized by him shall have the powers to inspect the public libraries within the state. Members of the council to be regarded as public servants, as in the case of many of the public library acts discussed earlier. The organizational structure of the public library system in Gujarat consists of the government of Gujarat at the apex, Government State Library Development Council, which monitors the progress of development of public libraries within the state and which is also of advisory in nature. There is a Director of Public Libraries who is a full-time officer who monitors and supports the library system within the state. There is a State Central Library and district libraries and district advisory councils monitor the functioning of the district libraries. Taluk libraries are advised by taluk advisory committees, and a large number of public libraries are aided by the state government from time to time. The next state to organize library service is the Orissa. Several efforts have been made in the state of Orissa from time to time since 1974 for the promulgation of Library Act within the state. Finally, Orissa Assembly passed the Orissa Public Libraries Act in 2000 and got the assent of the Governor on 28 February 2002. Salient features of this Act are Orissa Public Library Council, consisting of 19 members, is the apex body of the library system in the state. Orissa Public Library Authority administers the Act and tries to achieve the objectives laid therein. The Directorate of Public Library Services looks after the functioning of the system. The Director of Public Library Services shall be one with professional qualifications. The State Central Library, which is in existence since long, is named after Hare Krishna Mehtab, the then Chief Minister of Odisha. City Library System is in existence in Bhubaneswar, and district libraries and other libraries are declared as libraries in the system of public libraries within the state. All members of the library service shall be employees of the state government. Here also there is no provision for collection of cess. So the government gives a lump sum grant for the public library support within the state. The organizational structure of Orissa public library system is the government of Orissa is there at the apex body. Orissa Public Library Council, consisting of official and nominated members, advises the government on library matters. The Director of Public Library Services looks after the day-to-day administration of public library system within the state. Hare Krishna Mehtab State Central Library is the apex library that is there in the library system. There is a City Central Library in Bhubaneswar, and it is having a committee of its own which advises its functioning. District library system consists of the various libraries that come under the Act within the district, and there is the District Advisory Committee that monitors the functioning of the libraries. Orissa Public Libraries Bill also takes care of subdivisional libraries, integrated libraries, memorial hall libraries, and Gandhi Patagrahas or reading rooms. Uttaranchal, now called as Uttarakhand, has been carved out of Uttar Pradesh state. And whatever the system that was existing in Uttar Pradesh earlier has been acquired by the Uttaranchal government. The government of Uttarakhand, however, taken immediate steps to reorient the public library system in the state by enacting the Public Library Act, which is known as Uttarakhand Public Library Act, Act number 19 of 2005, and also a step to establish a state central library in the form of Doon Library and Research Center. The salient features of the Act are: the Act provides for establishment of a State Library Committee. The Minister in charge of Education shall be the ex officio chairman. The Principal Secretary or Secretary to the Government in the Education Department shall be the ex officio vice chairman. The Director of School Education shall be the member secretary. Department of Public Libraries is a cell in the educational department. District Library Authority administers the public libraries in the district. A district library authority can appoint executive committee and subcommittees. Provision for imposing a library cess has been made, but however it has not been implemented so far. The director or his nominee can inspect any public library. Organizational structure of the Uttaranchal Public Library Act is: the government of Uttarakhand will be at the apex. The State Library Committee, as in the case of all other library acts, is of advisory in nature, which try to monitor as well as suggest for the improvement of public library services within the state. The Department of Public Libraries, which is a part of the educational department, will have to monitor the functioning of the public libraries within the state. Though there is no state central library, with the funds that have been allocated for the state central library, Doon Library and Research Center has been established, which is deemed as the state central library. The district libraries authorities have been established in various districts, and they monitor the public library services within the district. There are district libraries, branch libraries, and about 17 of the public libraries existing in different districts are also financed and funded by the library system. The government of Rajasthan passed the Rajasthan Public Library Bill in 2006. It got the assent of the governor on 20th April, and the salient features of this act are: State Library Council is headed by Minister in charge of libraries. The State Library Council also decides the quantum of grant that is to be given as an aid by the government. The Director of Languages and Library shall be the Director of Public Libraries. State library system constitutes State Central Library, Divisional Libraries, District Libraries, Panchayat Samiti Libraries, and Village Libraries. A Library Advisory Committee for all public libraries. No provision for cess. Members of the council are public servants. The organizational structure of public library system in Rajasthan: consists of Government of Rajasthan at the apex, State Library Council, as has been the case in other states, is advisory in nature. The Director of Libraries is the full-time person that is responsible for maintenance of public library system and services within the state, and the State Central Library will be the apex body of the state library structure, and there are district libraries and divisional libraries in various parts of the state, and district libraries are having a district library committees which support or advise the maintenance of library services within the districts. There are panchayat libraries and also village libraries which are also supported by the public library system within the state. Uttar Pradesh. UP Library Association came into being in 1956. It was inaugurated by Sampurnanand Ji, the then Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, in 1956. The association lost in no time in preparing a draft library bill and submit to the Chief Minister for enactment. Unfortunately, the efforts could not succeed at that particular period of time. In 1973, Uttar Pradesh Public Libraries Bill was prepared by Goswami Committee, and the committee submitted its report to the government, but this also could not see the light of the day. A large number of other bills were also prepared by different individuals from time to time. Uttar Pradesh Public Library Bill was drafted by Mr. Venkatapaya in 1983. Another bill was drafted by Mr. Viswanathan in the year 1983. Uttar Pradesh Public Library Bill was again redrafted by Dr. Venkatapaya in 1992. The final bill that has been enacted recently has the following salient features. A State Library Council, which is advisory in nature, the State Standing Committee to ensure proper implementation of the decisions of the Council, Director of Secondary Education as Director of Public Libraries, and there is a State Central Library, State Reference Library, District Libraries and District Library Committees, and there is no provision for the cess. Coming to the organizational structure of the public library system in Uttar Pradesh, the government of Uttar Pradesh at its apex has a State Library Council. As in the case of other library acts, it is advisory in nature, and there is State Standing Committee for Libraries, which is in lieu of the Directorate of Public Libraries in other states, which supervises, monitors and support the public library system within the state of Uttar Pradesh. The Director of Public Libraries is the administrative head who looks after the library services within the system. There are state central libraries, district libraries and regional public libraries in different regions of the state. The next state that to enact library legislation is Bihar. Bihar Library Association was founded in the year 1936. The association organized a large number of conferences from time to time, and library legislation was discussed at various levels at different places from time to time. The first bill that was discussed by the association was at the conference that was held in 1937, and this bill could not take the shape of an act in Bihar legislature. The principle the government accepted the need for public library legislation in the state. Bihar legislature enacted the Bihar State Public Library and Information Center Act finally in the year 2008. Salient features of this act are there shall be a state library and information center authority. State government nominates the chairman, vice chairman and other members of the authority. There should be a separate directorate. The director will perform the role of a superintendent of libraries, and in this act also there is no provision for cess. Organizational structure. The government of Bihar at its helm of affairs, State Library and Information Center Authority is just like State Library Council. Library and Information Center Directorate looks after the day-to-day administration and management of libraries within the state. The state library is at the apex of the system, and there are divisional libraries established in each division of the state. There are subdivisional libraries as well as district libraries in each district of the state. There are block libraries, panchayat libraries, village libraries as well as private libraries which are financed by the Act from time to time. Unlike the library acts that have been passed so far, the Chhattisgarh Public Library Acts was an initiative came from the side of the government of Chhattisgarh. The Chhattisgarh Public Library Act was enacted in the year 2008 and it has came into existence immediately after the assent of the governor. But however, the implementation is lacking and it needs to full implementation, purposeful public library system within the state. The salient features of the Act are: the State Library Council is headed by Minister of School Education and Principal Secretary of the School Education Department shall be the Vice Chairman. The officer on special duty, library cell in the School Education Department shall be the Member Secretary. The Standing Committee shall be headed by the Principal Secretary, School Education. There shall be district libraries guided by district library committees. The Director of Secondary Education Chhattisgarh shall be the Director of Public Libraries within the state. The organizational structure of the Chhattisgarh Public Library System consists of the Government of Chhattisgarh, State Library Council, Minister of School Education shall be the Chairman, Principal Secretary to the School Education is the Vice Chairman. School Education Department is having an officer on special duty library cell who will be the Member Secretary. There shall be a standing committee. The chairman will be the Principal Secretary, School Education Department. The Director of Public Libraries is ex officio member of the committee, and the Director of Secondary Education will be the Director of Public Libraries. It is expected to establish a state library and district libraries in various districts. The last act that is to be enacted is the Arunachal Pradesh Public Library Act, Act number 6 of 2009. The Arunachal Pradesh legislature passed the Arunachal Pradesh Public Library Act on 31st August 2009 and it is yet to take shape and implemented in the state. In this module, we have studied the library acts in states like Mizoram, Goa, Gujarat, Orissa, Uttarakhand, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Chhattisgarh and Arunachal Pradesh. The first one is the Mizoram. The Mizoram state also do not make any provision for enactment of cess. And the Act has made a specific provision for the establishment of State Library for the Blind, Bureau of Copyright for receiving all books that have been published within the state, an interlibrary loan service within the libraries, and State Bibliographical Bureau for providing technical assistance to the various libraries in the state. Coming to Goa, the Goa has made provision for two separate type of libraries. One is a state lending library and a state reference library. The purpose of state reference library is a depository in nature. The books are not lent out to the users, whereas a state lending library part takes care of giving loan to the users of the libraries. Another important feature of this particular act is that the act has made specific provision for levying cess on the Indian-made foreign liquor and beer bottles, which has tremendously increased the revenue for the public libraries. Coming to Gujarat state, there is no provision for cess, and the act has made it a point to see that there is an advisory committee for all types of libraries at the state level, district level, as well as taluk level. In the Orissa Public Libraries Act, there are advisory committees at various levels, at state level, district level, and local level, which monitor the services in that particular state. Orissa also does not made any provision for collection of cess. Uttarakhand public library system is implemented under the school library system, and Director of School Education will be in charge of the library services within the state. The Doon Public Library and Research Center is regarded as state central library. There are 8 district libraries, 16 branch libraries, and 17 other public libraries which are taken care by the Library Act. Rajasthan Library Act, there is no provision for collection of cess, and there are advisory committees for various types of libraries at different levels which monitor the growth and development of public libraries within the state. The public library service in Uttar Pradesh is also kept under the Education Department. The Director of Secondary Education shall be the ex officio Director of Public Libraries within the state. And there is also no provision for cess in the Public Library Act. In Bihar, there is an apex body called State Library and Information Center Authority, which acts as a library council at the state level. There will be district libraries as well as the state central library in the apex system of the libraries in the state of Bihar. Coming to the state of Chhattisgarh, the Minister for School Education shall be the chairman of the library council at the state level, and Principal Secretary Secondary Education will serve as the Director of Public Libraries. The State Central Library is yet to be established within the state. In the Arunachal Pradesh Public Library Act, the Minister in charge will be the chairman or ex officio of the administration of the public library system in the state. One very important and interesting provision is that all students who have reached the class 8 are to be made members of the library system within the state. No other state has made such a provision. There is no mention about the cess in the Public Library Act. That means the state government has to make a lump sum grant for the development and maintenance of public libraries within the state. We have seen so far 18 states have enacted library legislation, of which about 10 states are yet to implement the act. Only 8 states are having effective library legislation. And we hope that in future the remaining states will also come forward with their respective library act so that the entire country will become a land of libraries. Thank you very much.